Okay. Listen, this game is weird, like really weird. And if you're a layman like myself, you absolutely need to look up stuff to understand everything after you beat it. But with that being said, this might be my game of the year for 2021. Now, I know the Outer Wilds DLC came out and I gave that a 10 out of 10. If you want my in-depth thoughts on it, go watch my review. And I still do recommend it at 10 out of 10. Go play it if you haven't, it's still really good. But I personally would not categorize it as a full game release that came out in 2021. It's an amazing DLC for sure, but it still is DLC at the end of the day, not a full game. These are the games that I played at the time of this recording that came out in the year of 2021 that I'm comparing it to, and these are in no particular order. Right off the bat, I'm going to remove a couple of these simply because they're definitely not in the game of the year category for me. Don't get me wrong, I still really enjoyed all of these games and still play some to this day, but they just don't push my enjoyment into the game of the year category. Now the 5 games that are remaining would make my 2021 game of the year list, and so you can see what Inscryption is up against. And here I am telling you it might take game of the year for me. Let me explain why. There will be no story spoilers in this review, so you're good to go. Let's get started. Okay, so what is Inscryption even? Well, to put it simply, it is a card game. Now hang on, before you click off this video, it's not just a card game. It's a lot of things wrapped into a card game. You start the game playing cards, but very quickly realize there's a bit more under the hood than you were led to believe. As those things start to unravel, I found myself more engrossed into the story the game was telling, what the game was trying to do, and the mechanics that got introduced into the game as I progressed. The baseline of the game though is a card game, and a very well thought out one at that. Now, I'm not extremely well versed in other card games, but anyone who's looking for an in-depth, well thought out system like Hearthstone or Legends of Runeterra without too much complexity, Inscryption is definitely for you. More and more card mechanics get introduced to you as you progress through the story that help you make your deck more powerful and fun to customize to see what else it can do. I found myself changing it up constantly to try to see how I could beat the enemies that show up. Now, besides the card game, without going into any story spoilers, you are essentially given the ability to walk around the room you're in to look for either more cards or more mechanics to help you within the game. Whether that's an extra life somewhere or something to help you progress the story, you will find it by exploring. Now, exploration and puzzle solving are required to progress the story, but the puzzles are not too hard if you really look for clues. The game does a good job of making you want to explore and gives you good incentives for doing so. The movement between card battles is really neat as well. You get a little map to explore that has you choosing paths to go on, kind of like Slay the Spire. Different options yield different results, different buffs, different debuffs, depending on where you go. As the game goes on, more paths and options open up. It adds some variety to every run you would do, and you'll be doing quite a bit of runs. And again, as the story progresses, just like the card play, the exploration also changes. The world changes up and new things start occurring. I wanted to both explore the new world as well as play the card game. I was hooked on both, which is pretty impressive for a game to do in my opinion. Usually, one of these aspects is lacking, but they're both really well executed here. Now, the reason I am throwing it into my game of the year category is that the game does a lot of innovative things in terms of both gameplay and story/world building, which I'll cover later. As for gameplay, I really enjoyed what the developers of Inscryption were able to come up with. So much so that when I look back at other games that I played this year, this game is one of the only ones that really innovated on all the concepts that were introduced here. It innovates on the card game, the exploration, the progression, all of it is just so smooth and well done to a point where I genuinely don't have any grasp about the gameplay aspect of the experience. It was, to put it simply, fantastic. While the other games I listed earlier were also great, this one felt special to me because it was just so innovative and clever on how it took old tropes and switched it up. I loved it. Let's jump over to the world and story review. Remember, there are no spoilers here. So the story is where the weird aspect of this game comes from. On Steam, the game is categorized as horror, and while I would not say this game is scary, I would definitely say it's creepy. Very, very creepy. And it does an amazing job of keeping that creepy uneasiness throughout the entire game. As you're playing it, you get the feeling that there's something more to it, but you just don't know what. From the cards talking to you to the guy right across the table you're playing against, I never felt quote-unquote safe. Even when I was exploring the room and solving puzzles, I could feel the guy in the room watching me as I took every step. Hell, even the companions you meet didn't sit right with me. It felt as though I was just dropped into this world and I had no idea what was going on or who I could trust. It wasn't until I got the first set of quote-unquote plot dumps that I could understand what was going on, or at least have an idea of it, and honestly, I kind of like that. The way this game tells its story is very unique in that when you finally have an inkling of understanding, or at least you think you do, the game flips it around and puts you back onto square one, but with different information. Now, that might sound frustrating, but it felt more like a mystery that was being solved instead of being given a lame runaround. You're never going to expect where the story is going to go. I had more information, more clues, more story that I could think on and explore as I played the game, and it made me really ponder what could be happening. As the game progressed, that sensation of needing to solve/understand what is going on only grew. I won't say what the game did to make me feel this way, but I can tell you, you're definitely not going to expect it, but in a good way. I will also say that some of the puzzles in Inscryption are really fun and some are very, very obscure. I would say about 98% of the puzzles are really fun and actually help you progress through the game in terms of giving you more cards, more abilities, etc. Some are even plot crucial, which is really nice to see. The remaining 2% of puzzles, however, were very complex in a way that I personally did not have the mind to solve them. Not because I wanted to get the game over with or anything, but once I saw them, I knew I did not have the aptitude for it and kind of went on to play the rest of the game. Those puzzles in particular are not mandatory, but the game does provide more of a conclusion if you can find and solve those puzzles. They're pretty well hidden and require some external knowledge to solve. That is my one and only gripe with the game. I loved every other aspect of it, but when it came to the finality of the story, I felt as though some pieces were missing when I finished the game. However, upon further inspection and research after I beat the game, I understood why that was. After I beat the game, I read through a plot explanation and really liked where the story went a lot more upon having a more fleshed out conclusion. I just really wish they had included it into the game in a way that I personally was able to solve. Now, that is not to say the devs of this game made a mistake. Let me be very clear, their vision and execution of those 2% of puzzles was excellent, and I applaud them for going in the direction they went because, like I was saying before, you don't see a lot of what they do here in other games. The gripe that I did have was just me being too dumb to solve them. Honestly, it's really cool what they do, but that's just me. You could be a super wizard genius that might look at those 2% of puzzles and be like, that shit is easy street. This guy is a ding dong. Nevertheless, the world building and story are really cool, and I think if you're into a good old mystery, this one is for you. All in all, I really liked the game. It was unique, creative, and very enjoyable. I went in having only played the demo and hearing nothing else about it and was pleasantly surprised. If you're looking for a good 16 to 18 hour game with excellent card play, engaging story, growing complexity, and fantastic world building, I recommend Inscryption. Now, you may not put it in your potential game of the year list for 2021, but for me, I would have to think long and hard about it in comparison to the other heavy hitters that came out this year. It definitely earns the right to compete. I am giving Inscryption a 9 out of 10, an experience that is all aces. What did you think of Inscryption? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't played it yet, I hope you give it a chance. In the meantime, subscribe if you like my content. Check out some of the other videos, or don't. It's your life, to be honest. Have a good one.